The scalding coffee hit Jessica's uniform before she even saw it coming. "You think I'd let something like you serve me?" The woman's voice dripped with disgust, her designer handbag swinging as she stood abruptly. "What kind of freak show is this cafe running?" Jessica stood frozen, the hot liquid seeping through her white blouse, burning her skin. But the pain, there was nothing compared to the familiar ache in her chest. Around her, the small cafe had gone silent. Every pair of eyes was on her. Some pitying, most curious, a few openly disgusted. She could feel their stares crawling over her pale skin, her white blonde hair, her light eyes that marked her as different in a country that prized uniformity. This was supposed to be a good neighborhood, clean, respectable, right outside the gates where souls wealthy lived their pristine lives. But hatred, Jessica had learned, didn't care about property values. "I'm sorry for the inconvenience," Jessica heard herself say, her voice mechanical, trained through countless similar incidents. "Let me get you another. I don't want anything from you." The woman's face contorted. "Just looking at you makes me sick. What are you even doing in Korea? Go back to wherever you came from." Something inside Jessica snapped. Not broke. She'd been broken too many times for that. This was different. This was the sound of her last bit of patience turning to dust. "I am Korean," Jessica said, her voice suddenly sharp as broken glass. She straightened up, coffee still dripping from her clothes, and met the woman's eyes with a level stare. "Born in Busan, raised in Daegu, moved to Seoul 3 years ago. But please, continue educating me about my own identity. I'm sure your expensive face cream gives you all the expertise you need." The woman's mouth fell open. Gasps rippled through the cafe. "And for your information," Jessica continued, pulling off her stained apron with deliberate slowness, "albinism is a genetic condition, not a contagious disease. You can't catch it from your coffee. Though honestly, your personality seems far more infectious than anything I could possibly have." "How dare you?" "Mrs. Choi, please." Mr. Park, the cafe owner, finally rushed over, his weathered face creased with worry. He was a kind man, in his 60s, who'd given Jessica a job when 17 other establishments had turned her away. "Jessica, perhaps you should take a break." "No need, Mr. Park." Jessica untied her apron completely and set it on the counter. "I'll clean up and finish my shift. But I'm done apologizing for existing." The woman, Mrs. Choi, sputtered something about never returning and stormed out, her heels clicking violently against the tile floor. The other customers slowly returned to their conversations, though Jessica could still feel their whispered words like insects on her skin. She walked to the back room on steady legs, closed the door, and only then did she let herself shake. Her hands trembled as she peeled off the coffee-stained blouse. In the small mirror above the sink, her reflection stared back. Pale skin that seemed to glow under the fluorescent lights, hair the color of winter clouds, eyes that shifted between pink and pale blue depending on the light. "Freak," she whispered to her reflection, then immediately hated herself for it. This was the pattern. Stand up for herself publicly, fall apart privately. Build walls during the day, cry behind them at night. She'd learned to be savage because being soft had nearly destroyed her. Every insult she'd absorbed in silence had left a scar. So she taught herself to bite back, to be quicker with her words than they were with their cruelty. But God, she was tired. She was washing her face when she heard the cafe door chime. Through the crack in the door, she could see Mr. Park greeting someone new. Jessica grabbed a clean uniform shirt and buttoned it quickly, taking a breath to compose herself before stepping back out. The man at the counter was tall, dressed in a perfectly tailored black suit that probably cost more than Jessica's annual salary. His dark hair was swept back, and even from across the room, she could see the dangerous edge to him. The kind of person who didn't ask for things, who expected the world to rearrange itself around his wants. Great, another rich customer to deal with. But as she approached the counter, ready with her professional smile and dead eyes, the man turned and froze. His name, she would learn later, was Ryu Taijun, and he was staring at her like she'd descended from the moon itself. "Welcome to Daehan Cafe," Jessica said flatly, her tone making it clear she was in no mood for another incident. "What can I get you?" Taijun didn't answer. He just kept staring, his dark eyes wide, his expression caught between shock and something else Jessica couldn't identify. She'd seen every reaction to her appearance. Disgust, pity, curiosity, fear. But this looked almost like awe. "Sir," Jessica prompted, her voice sharper now. "Do you need a moment to decide? Or are you planning to just stand there?" That seemed to snap him out of it. "Coffee," he said quickly. "Black, please. Anything else?" "No, just coffee." Jessica rang it up, took his money, and turned to prepare his drink, acutely aware that he was still watching her. Not with the malicious curiosity of earlier customers, but with an intensity that made her skin prickle. She could feel his gaze following her movements as she worked the espresso machine, as she poured the steaming liquid into a cup. When she set it in front of him, their fingers brushed accidentally. Taijun jerked back like he'd been burned. "Your coffee," Jessica said dryly. "It won't bite. Unlike me, apparently." The corner of his mouth twitched. "Apparently? I have references if you need them. Mrs. Choi would be happy to testify." "I saw what happened," Taijun said quietly. "With that woman." Jessica's defenses slammed into place. "And? Are you here to tell me I was rude? That I should have just taken it? That the customer is always right, even when they're being? I was going to say you were magnificent." Jessica stopped mid-sentence, her brain short-circuiting. "What? The way you stood up to her." Taijun picked up his coffee, his eyes never leaving Jessica's face. "That took courage." "That took stupidity," Jessica corrected. "She'll probably leave a terrible review. Tell all her rich friends to avoid this place." "Let her." Taijun's voice held an edge of steel. "People like that deserve to be put in their place." Jessica studied him more carefully now. Expensive suit, confident posture, the way other customers seemed to unconsciously shift away from him, like prey sensing a predator. And there, on his wrist, just visible beneath his sleeve, was a tattoo that looked like a dragon's tail. "You're not from around here," Jessica said. It wasn't a question. "I could say the same about you. I mean this neighborhood. You don't have the look." "What look is that?" "The look of someone who's never had blood on their hands." Taijun went very still. Then slowly he smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. It was the smile of a shark who'd just recognized another predator in the water. "Sharp eyes," he said softly. "And a sharper tongue. I like that. I'm not here for you to like." "No," Taijun agreed. "You're here to serve coffee. Which you do very well, by the way." He took a sip, and Jessica waited for him to leave. That's what customers did. They got their drinks and left. But Taijun just settled onto one of the stools at the counter, making himself comfortable. "Is there something else you need?" Jessica asked. "No." Taijun set down his cup. "I'm good here. We close in 3 hours. Then I'll have 3 hours of excellent coffee and even better company." Jessica blinked. "You're planning to just sit there? Is that a problem?" "It's weird. I've been called worse." Jessica wanted to argue, but Mr. Park was watching hopefully from the corner. A customer who wanted to stay was a customer who might order more. So she swallowed her protests and went back to work, wiping down tables, serving other customers, pretending she didn't feel Taijun's eyes tracking her movements. He ordered 3 more coffees over the next 3 hours. Didn't touch his phone, didn't read anything, just sat and watched the cafe with the patience of someone who'd learned to wait for what he wanted. And whenever Jessica passed his table, she felt the weight of his attention like sunlight. It should have made her uncomfortable. It should have triggered all her carefully honed defenses. Instead, it made her curious. When the cafe finally closed, Taijun stood, straightening his suit jacket. "Same time tomorrow? We open at 7, Jessica said automatically. "Then I'll see you at 7. "You're coming back?" "Why wouldn't I?" "Because..." Jessica gestured vaguely at herself, at her pale skin and lighter eyes, at all the things that usually sent people running. "Because of the obvious." Taijun tilted his head, studying her with those dark, unreadable eyes. "You know what I see when I look at you? A freak? A mistake?" "The moon," Taijun interrupted softly. "I see the moon in human form. Beautiful, rare, impossible to look away from." Jessica's breath caught. No one had ever called her beautiful before. Not sincerely. Not like this, like the word was being pulled from somewhere deep and honest. That's a line, she managed. It's the truth. You don't even know me. Not yet, Taijun agreed. But I'd like to, if you'll let me. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a business card. Set it on the counter between them. Jessica glanced down and her blood ran cold. Ryu Taijun, Executive Director, Biko Group. Everyone in Seoul knew the Biko Group. Everyone knew what Executive Director was code for. This man wasn't just rich, he was dangerous. The kind of dangerous that made people disappear. You're... Jessica's voice came out hoarse. Someone who makes a living from reading people, Taijun finished. And you, Jessica, are someone I very much want to read. How do you know my name? He nodded toward her name tag. Jessica resisted the urge to cover it. I should go, Taijun said, but he didn't move. But I'll be back tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that, until you believe that when I look at you, I see something extraordinary. Why? Jessica demanded. Why would you waste your time? It's not a waste if it's you. Then he was gone, disappearing into the Seoul night, leaving Jessica standing behind the counter with a business card in her trembling hands and her heart doing things it absolutely should not be doing. Mr. Park emerged from the back, his expression knowing. That's Ryu Taijun, he said quietly. One of the most powerful men in Seoul. I know. He's never been to this cafe before. I know. He couldn't stop looking at you. Jessica crumpled the business card in her fist. I know that too. That night, alone in her tiny apartment, Jessica looked at herself in the mirror again. Pale skin, white hair, pink-tinged eyes. All the features that had made her a target, a joke, a thing to be pitied or feared. The moon in human form. She touched her reflection, tracing the contours of her different face. Liar, she whispered, but her voice shook because part of her, a dangerous, hopeful part, wanted desperately to believe him. Tomorrow, she told herself. Tomorrow she'd be ready for him. Tomorrow she'd have her walls rebuilt, her armor secured, her savage tongue sharpened. But tonight, just for tonight, she let herself imagine what it might be like to be seen as beautiful. The business card sat on her nightstand, catching the moonlight streaming through her window. And for the first time in years, Jessica fell asleep with something other than tears on her face. She fell asleep with a smile. Ryu Taijun had killed his first man at 19. It was a fact he carried like a stone in his chest. Heavy, permanent, impossible to forget. 15 years later, he'd lost count of how many stones he carried. The Biko Group didn't build its empire on legal ventures and ethical business practices. They built it on fear, on power, on the willingness to do what others couldn't stomach. Taijun had stomached quite a lot, but nothing. Not the blood, not the betrayals, not the countless nights wondering if he'd become a monster, had prepared him for the sight of Jessica in that cafe. He'd only gone there because his usual coffee spot was closed for renovations, and his assistant had recommended Daehan Cafe as the closest alternative. A business decision. Nothing more. Then she'd turned around. Taijun had seen beautiful women before. Seoul was full of them. Surgically perfected faces, designer clothes, carefully curated elegance. He dated a few, slept with more, felt nothing beyond temporary satisfaction. Beauty was common in his world. It was a currency, a tool, a weapon. But Jessica wasn't beautiful like that. Jessica was beautiful like a ghost, like a dream, like something that shouldn't exist in the normal world. Her skin seemed to glow from within, pale as pearl, luminous as moonlight. Her hair fell in silvery white waves that caught the cafe's lights and turned them into something magical. And her eyes, God, her eyes, shifted colors like opals, pink and blue and lavender all at once. She looked like she'd been carved from starlight. And she looked absolutely furious. Taijun had watched the entire incident with Mrs. Choi, his coffee forgotten, his meetings forgotten, everything forgotten except the way Jessica stood there taking abuse with dead eyes and mechanical apologies. He'd seen that look before, on people who'd been broken so thoroughly they no longer expected kindness. He'd been about to intervene, consequences be damned, when Jessica snapped. The transformation was immediate and glorious. dead eyes suddenly blazing with life, mechanical voice turning sharp as a blade. She'd eviscerated Mrs. Choi with words alone, and Taijun had felt something in his chest crack open. Something he'd thought had died years ago. Hope, maybe, or recognition, because he knew what it was like to build armor around yourself. To learn to bite before you could be bitten. To turn pain into power because power was the only thing that kept you safe. Jessica had learned the same lessons he had, just in a different classroom. Now, sitting in his penthouse apartment overlooking the Han River, Taijun stared at his phone and contemplated his options. He could send flowers to the cafe. But that felt too impersonal, too much like every other man trying to buy attention. He could have one of his people investigate her background, learn everything about her within hours. But that felt like a violation of the fragile thing he'd seen in her eyes. So instead, he did something he rarely allowed himself to do. He waited. The next morning, Taijun arrived at Daehan Cafe at exactly 7 a.m. Jessica was already there. Her white hair pulled back in a neat ponytail, her uniform crisp despite yesterday's coffee incident. She saw him walk in, and something flashed across her face too quick to read. "You actually came back," she said. "I said I would." People say a lot of things. Taijun approached the counter, noting how she didn't step back but didn't relax either. "Coffee, black, please." "Learning manners?" Jessica's tone was dry. "Impressive growth in just 24 hours. I was always polite. You were always staring. Can you blame me?" Jessica's jaw tightened. Don't what? Don't pretend this is something it's not. I know who you are now. Ryu Taijun. Biko Group. Which means you're dangerous, you're probably bored, and you think I'm some kind of exotic curiosity to add to your collection." Taijun absorbed the accusation without flinching. "You're right about two of those things." "Which two?" "I am dangerous. And you are absolutely a curiosity." He leaned against the counter, ignoring the way she tensed. "But not because of how you look. Because of how you fight." "I don't fight. You fought yesterday. You fight every day, I imagine. Just by existing in a world that wants you to apologize for it." Jessica's hands stilled on the espresso machine. "You don't know anything about me. Then teach me." "Why would I do that?" "Because I'm asking. Because I'll keep coming back until you do. Because..." Taijun paused, choosing his words carefully. "Because I think you're tired of people seeing only your surface. And I'm tired of people seeing only mine." "What does that mean?" "It means everyone looks at me and sees a criminal. Killer. A monster in an expensive suit." Taijun's voice was quiet, almost gentle. "They're not wrong. But they're not entirely right either. Just like everyone who looks at you and sees only your albinism is missing everything that matters." Jessica stared at him, her unusual eyes wide. That's quite a speech for 7 a.m. I'm an early riser. Apparently a romantic one too. Only when properly inspired. Despite herself, Jessica's lips twitched. Almost a smile. "Your coffee will be ready in 2 minutes. I'll wait." And he did. He waited while she served other customers, while she cleaned tables, while she studiously avoided looking in his direction. When his coffee was ready, she set it down with slightly less hostility than before. "Thank you, Jessica. You keep using my name. It's a beautiful name. Why wouldn't I? Most people don't. They either avoid names entirely or make up something else." Her voice caught slightly on the last word. "What kind of something else?" "Ghost. Pale thing. The albino girl." Jessica shrugged, but Taijun could see the tension in her shoulders. People get creative with their cruelty. Then they're fools. Taijun took a sip of his coffee, never breaking eye contact. "Jessica. A classic name. Strong. It suits you. You barely know me. I'm working on changing that." He stayed for an hour that morning. Ordered 2 more coffees he didn't particularly want. Watched Jessica work with an efficiency that spoke of years of practice. Saw how she handled difficult customers with that same sharp tongue that had eviscerated Mrs. Choi. Noticed the way her armor came up whenever anyone stared too long. When he finally left, he said simply, "Tomorrow." Jessica sighed. "You're really not going to stop, are you?" "Not until you tell me to. And mean it." "I mean it." "No, you don't. Your words say leave. But your eyes say, Taijun smiled. Your eyes say you're curious too. He left before she could protest, but he could feel her gaze on his back all the way to his car. The pattern continued. Every morning, 7 a.m., Taijun arrived at Daehan Cafe. Sometimes he stayed for an hour, sometimes longer. He learned that Jessica took her break at 9:30, that she preferred tea to coffee, that she had a sarcastic comment for nearly everything but went quiet when children came into the cafe. He learned that she was kind to Mr. Park, patient with elderly customers, and absolutely savage with anyone who treated service workers poorly. He watched her shut down a businessman who'd snapped his fingers at her with such precision that the man left apologizing. "You're good at that," Taijun said after the man had gone. "At what?" "Putting people in their place without raising your voice." Jessica wiped down the counter. "I've had practice." "How long have you worked here?" 2 years. Before that, I worked at a convenience store, a bookshop, and a restaurant that fired me after 3 days because customers complained about my appearance." "Their loss. Their choice," Jessica corrected. "People have the right to be uncomfortable." "No, they don't. Not when their discomfort is based on ignorance." Jessica looked at him then, really looked, and Taijun saw the carefully hidden vulnerability beneath her armor. "You talk like you understand. But how could you? You're normal. Perfect, even. People don't stare at you like you're a mistake. They stare at me like I'm a threat. Like I might hurt them if they look away." Taijun's voice was soft. Different reasons, same isolation. Something shifted in Jessica's expression. A crack in the wall. "Why coffee?" she asked suddenly. "What? Why do you keep ordering coffee? You barely drink it. You let it get cold while you sit there watching everyone." Taijun smiled. "The coffee is an excuse." "For what?" "To be near you." Jessica's breath caught. That's ridiculous. You don't even know me. I know you prefer the morning shift because there are fewer customers. I know you organize the cups by size even though Mr. Park doesn't care. I know you have a soft spot for the grandmother who comes in every Thursday and orders the same thing. I know you hide your hands when they shake. I know. Stop. Jessica's voice was barely a whisper. "Please stop." "Why?" "Because you're making me hope. And hope is dangerous for someone like me." Taijun stood, rounding the counter before she could protest. They were close now, close enough that he could see the exact moment her breath hitched, the way her pupils dilated despite her fear. "Someone like you," he repeated. "You mean someone extraordinary? Someone brave? Someone who's survived things that would have broken others? Someone different," Jessica whispered. "Someone people don't want. I want." "You don't know what you want. You've decided I'm some kind of project. Something interesting to pursue until the novelty wears off." "Jessica." "No." She stepped back, putting distance between them. "I know how this works. You're bored. You see something unusual and you think you want it. But what happens when you really get to know me? When you see all the ways I'm damaged? When people stare at us together and whisper? When your reputation—" "I don't care about my reputation. You should. The Biko Group will respect whoever I choose to spend time with. That's not up for debate." Jessica laughed, but it was a broken sound. "You think it's that simple? You think you can just decide to be with someone like me and everyone will accept it?" "I think," Taijun said carefully, "that you're scared, and you have every right to be. But I'm asking you to be brave anyway." "Why? Why does it matter to you?" Taijun took a breath. He'd killed men. He'd lied, cheated, stolen, done things that kept him awake at night. But this, telling the truth to this ethereal girl with guarded eyes, was the hardest thing he'd done in years. "Because when I look at you, I see someone who understands what it's like to be judged before you speak. Someone who's built walls because the world taught them to. Someone who's lonely even in a crowded room." He met her eyes. "I see someone like me." Jessica's hands were trembling now. "I'm nothing like you." "No? Then why are you crying?" She touched her face, surprised to find tears on her cheeks. "I'm not. It's okay to be scared, Jessica. It's okay to have walls. I'm not asking you to tear them down. I'm just asking you to let me stand at the gate. Let me prove that I'm not going anywhere. Everyone goes somewhere eventually. Then let me prove I'm not everyone. They stood there, customer and server, Mafia executive and cafe waitress. Two people who should never have crossed paths but couldn't seem to look away from each other. Finally, Jessica spoke. 1 week. What? You want to prove you're serious? Come back for 1 week. Same time, same place. If you're still interested after seeing me every single day. Dealing with my mood swings and my trauma and all the stares we'll get. Then we'll talk. Taijun smiled. Deal. Just like that. Just like that. He pulled out his phone. Can I have your number? No. No. You want to prove yourself? Do it the old-fashioned way. Show up. Be present. No texts, no calls, no digital safety net. Jessica crossed her arms. If you're going to pursue me, Ryu Taijun, you're going to have to actually work for it. Taijun's smile widened. There it was, the fire he'd seen that first day. The sharp edges she used to protect her soft center. Challenge accepted. He left the cafe that day with a lightness in his chest he hadn't felt in years. His phone rang almost immediately. His second-in-command, Park Miho, with questions about a shipment, a territory dispute, someone who needed to be handled. Taijun dealt with it mechanically, his mind elsewhere. On pale skin and pink eyes and a voice that could cut glass when threatened. On walls built to survive and a heart still brave enough to peek over them. That night, his brother Jihun cornered him in his office. You've been distracted, Jihun observed. He was younger by 2 years, softer in some ways but no less dangerous. What's her name? I don't know what you're talking about. Hyung, you've been smiling at your phone for 3 days. There's a woman. Taijun considered lying, then decided against it. Jessica. And she's different. Different how? Different in every way that matters. Jihun studied him, then nodded slowly. When do we meet her? Maybe never. Maybe soon. She's wary. For good reason. You really like her. It wasn't a question, but Taijun answered anyway. I really do. Then don't fuck it up. Sound advice, Taijun thought. Now he just had to figure out how to follow it. The next morning, he arrived at the cafe at 6:55 a.m., 5 minutes early. Jessica saw him through the window and shook her head. But he could see the smile she was trying to hide. Day 2 of 7. He ordered his coffee, sat at the counter, watched her work, didn't push, didn't pressure, just existed in her space. Let her get used to him. Around 9, a group of teenagers came in, laughing and loud. Taijun saw one of them notice Jessica, saw his eyes widen, saw him elbow his friend and whisper. Jessica's spine straightened. Her walls went up. Is that her hair? One of them said, not quite quiet enough. Like, is it real? Dude, her skin. Is she sick or something? Maybe she's a vampire. Taijun stood. The movement was casual, unhurried, but every one of the teenagers suddenly fell silent. He didn't say anything, just looked at them with the same flat expression that had made grown men confess to crimes. We should go, one of them mumbled. They left without ordering. Jessica stared at him. You didn't have to do that. I know. I can handle teenagers. I know that too. Then why? Because you shouldn't have to. Not today. Not while I'm here. Jessica's hands were shaking again. You can't protect me from every ignorant person in Seoul. Watch me try. And there it was, another crack in her armor. Another moment where she looked at him like she was trying to solve an impossible equation. Day 2, she said softly. Day 2, Taijun agreed. 5 more to go. But they both knew the truth. This wasn't about a week anymore. This was about something bigger, something neither of them had planned for. This was about 2 people who'd learned to survive alone, discovering they might not have to be lonely anymore. This was about moonlight and shadows learning to coexist. This was about hope. By day 5, Jessica had to admit something terrifying. She was getting used to him. Ryu Taijun arrived every morning at exactly 7 a.m., ordered his black coffee, and settled into what had become his seat at the counter. He didn't monopolize her time or demand her attention. He just existed, read the newspaper, worked on his laptop, sometimes took calls in rapid, clipped Korean that made her spine straighten because even she could hear the authority in his voice. But whenever she needed him, when a customer got too aggressive, when someone stared too long, when her hands started shaking and she needed to step away, he was there, not overbearing, not controlling, just present. A quiet, steady force that made the cafe feel safer than it ever had before. "He's in love with you," Mr. Park said on the 5th morning. Watching Taijun through the serving window, Jessica nearly dropped the cup she was washing. "What? No, we barely know each other. I've been married for 40 years, Mr. Park said mildly. "I know what a man in love looks like. The way he watches you, that's not curiosity. That's devotion. You're being dramatic." "Am I?" "He's been here every single day this week. Drinks coffee he doesn't particularly want. Rearranges his schedule. Do you know how powerful he is? How many people need his time? And yet every morning he's here." Jessica bit her lip. She'd been trying not to think about it, trying not to let herself read meaning into his consistency. Because if she started believing that Taijun was serious, that his interest wasn't just novelty or pity or some rich man's whim, if she started believing that, she'd have to confront the even more terrifying truth. She was falling for him too. "It's just been 5 days, Jessica said weakly. "Sometimes 5 days is enough. When you know. That afternoon, during her break, Jessica found Taijun waiting outside. He'd brought lunch, kimbap from a nearby restaurant, still warm in its container. "You've been skipping meals," he said simply. "How do you? You get pale around 1 p.m. paler than usual, and your hands shake more." Jessica stared at the food, then at him. "You shouldn't have. Probably not. But I did anyway." He handed her the container. "Eat, please." They sat on the bench outside the cafe, the summer sun warm on their skin. Jessica was acutely aware of the people passing by, the way some of them did double takes at her appearance. But with Taijun beside her, solid and unmovable, she found she cared less than usual. "Tell me something," Taijun said after a moment. "Something real. Not your armor talking, you." Jessica took a bite of kimbap, buying time. "Like what? Like, what made you move to Seoul?" She was quiet for a long moment. Then, "My mother died 2 years ago. Cancer. She was the only person who..." Jessica's voice caught. "She was the only person who always made me feel normal. Beautiful even after she was gone. Staying in Daegu felt impossible. Too many memories. Too many people who'd known me as the poor albino girl." "I'm sorry." Taijun's voice was soft. "She would have liked you, I think. She always said I needed someone who could see past the surface." Jessica smiled sadly. Of course, she probably didn't mean a Mafia executive, but beggars can't be choosers. "I'm not Mafia. Please. The Biko group is about as legitimate as I am Korean, which is to say, technically true but widely debated." Taijun laughed. A real laugh that transformed his usually serious face. "Fair enough. But for what it's worth, I never chose this life. I inherited it." "Tell me," Jessica said, surprising herself. "Something real. Not your armor, you." Taijun was quiet for so long Jessica thought he wouldn't answer. Then, "My father was a monster. Built the Biko group through violence and fear. When I was 19, he ordered me to kill someone, a rival who'd insulted him. Said it was my initiation, my proof of loyalty." Taijun's hands clenched. "I did it. And I've been trying to be better than him ever since. Failing mostly, but trying." "Are you?" Jessica asked. "A monster, I mean?" "Sometimes. When I have to be." He looked at her. "Does that scare you?" "It should," Jessica said honestly. "But somehow, no. Because I see the way you are here. Patient. Kind. You could snap your fingers and have anything you want. But you wait for me to give it to you. Consent matters. In all things. See? A monster wouldn't say that. A monster would say exactly that to gain trust." Jessica tilted her head. "Are you trying to talk me out of liking you?" "I'm trying to be honest. You deserve honesty." Then honestly, day 5. 2 days left. "Are you still interested?" Taijun turned to face her fully. "Jessica, I could spend every day with you for the next 50 years and I'd still want more. This week isn't about proving interest. It's about proving I'll respect your boundaries, that I'll show up, that I mean what I say." Jessica's heart hammered in her chest. You can't know that. You don't know what you're signing up for. Then tell me the worst of it. The worst. Jessica laughed bitterly. The worst is that I'll never be normal. People will always stare. Your business associates will whisper. Your family will question your judgment. Dating me is a liability. Socially, professionally, every way that matters in your world. My world can adjust. Can it? Can you? Jessica turned to him, her eyes bright with unshed tears. What about when we're at some important dinner and people can't stop staring? When photographers take pictures and the articles all focus on your unusual companion? When your rivals use me to make you look weak or eccentric? Let them try. You say that now. I say that always. Taijun's voice was steel. Jessica, I've built my reputation on being someone people don't cross. You think I'm afraid of gossip? Of judgment? The only opinion that matters to me is yours. Why? The word came out desperate. Why me? You could have anyone. Someone who fits into your world. Someone who doesn't come with complications. Because I don't want anyone else. Taijun reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away, and brushed a strand of white hair from her face. Because when I look at you, I see someone brave enough to survive in a world that's been cruel. Someone who turns pain into strength. Someone who makes me want to be better than what I was raised to be. His fingers lingered near her cheek, not quite touching. Because you're the first person in years who looks at me and sees a man, not just a title. Not just the blood on my hands. Jessica's breath shuddered out. I'm scared. I know. What if you change your mind? I won't. You can't promise that. Yes, I can. Taijun's hand dropped, but his eyes held hers. I'm very good at getting what I want, Jessica. And I want you. Not your walls, not your armor, though I respect both. I want the woman who cries in the back room, who's kind to elderly customers, who makes sarcastic comments to protect herself. I want all of it. Jessica felt something break open inside her. Not painfully, but like a door that had been locked too long finally swinging open. 2 more days, she whispered. You have 2 more days to change your mind. I won't need them, but I'll give them to you anyway. They sat in silence for a while, eating kimbap in the summer sun. And for the first time in 2 years, Jessica felt something other than alone. Day 6 brought unexpected complications. Taijun arrived at 7 a.m. as promised, but he wasn't alone. A younger man accompanied him, handsome, with similar features but a softer expression. This is my brother, Jihun, Taijun introduced. He insisted on meeting you. I apologize for the ambush. Jihun elbowed him. I'm not an ambush. I'm moral support. He turned to Jessica with a genuine smile. Hi, I've heard a lot about you. Jessica looked between them, her defenses rising. You told him about me? He noticed I've been distracted, Taijun said. And Jihun is persistent. I prefer charmingly curious. Jihun leaned on the counter. So you're the woman who has my brother arriving at work late, leaving meetings early, and actually smiling at his phone. Jihun, Taijun warned. What? It's true. Jihun studied Jessica with open interest, but there was no malice in it. Just curiosity. You're beautiful, like something from a manhwa. Jessica tensed, waiting for the inevitable qualifier, the but or despite, that always followed comments about her appearance. It never came. Coffee? She asked, keeping her voice neutral. Please, and whatever pastries you recommend. Hyung says you have excellent taste. Over the next hour, Jessica watched the brothers interact. Jihun was lighter than Taijun, quicker to laugh, but she could see the same steel underneath. These were dangerous men, but with each other they were just brothers. Teasing, comfortable, real. So, Jihun said eventually, when Taijun stepped away to take a call, what are your intentions toward my brother? Jessica blinked. Excuse me? He's asking what I should be asking you, Jessica said dryly. Aren't you supposed to threaten me? Tell me to stay away from him. Why would I do that? You make him happy. Jihun's expression turned serious. Do you know how rare that is? Taijun Hyung carries the weight of our entire organization. He's been responsible for everything since our father died. He doesn't let himself want things. Doesn't let himself be soft. He doesn't seem soft. Not to others. But I see the way he looks at you. Jihoon smiled. Like you're the first good thing he's found in a long time. So no, I'm not going to threaten you. I'm going to ask you to give him a chance. He's the one pursuing me, Jessica pointed out. Is he? Because from where I'm sitting, you're both circling each other. Both scared. Both waiting for the other to run first. Jihoon stood, pulling out his wallet. Here's my advice, for what it's worth. Take the risk. My brother isn't perfect. Our life isn't easy. But if there's one thing I know about Ryu Taijun, it's that once he commits to something, he doesn't let go. He paid for his coffee and left just as Taijun returned. What did he say to you? Taijun asked, suspicious. That you're stubborn. True. That you don't let go of things easily. Also true. That I should give you a chance. Taijun went very still. And what do you think? Jessica looked at this man who'd spent 6 days proving himself. Who'd rearranged his life to drink coffee he didn't want in a cafe he'd never noticed before. Who looked at her like she was something precious instead of something broken. I think, she said slowly, that tomorrow is day 7. It is. And after tomorrow, what happens? That's up to you. What do you want to happen? Taijun leaned across the counter, close enough that Jessica could see the dark flecks in his eyes, could smell his cologne. Something expensive and subtle. I want to take you to dinner. Somewhere nice. I want to pick you up at your apartment and walk you to the car and open your door like you're the most important person in my world. Because you are. Jessica's breath caught. I want to hold your hand in public and let everyone see that I'm proud to be with you. I want to learn everything about you. Your favorite color, your worst fear, what makes you laugh until you cry. I want to kiss you until you believe you're beautiful. Taijun, I want to be someone you can trust. Someone who makes you feel safe. Someone who proves, every single day, that choosing me wasn't a mistake. He pulled back slightly. But I'll only do those things if you want them to. Jessica's hands were shaking. Her walls were crumbling. Every instinct screamed at her to protect herself. To push him away before he could hurt her. But there was another voice, quieter, but growing stronger. The voice that sounded like her mother. That told her she deserved good things. That being different didn't mean being unworthy of love. Ask me tomorrow, she whispered. After day 7. Ask me then. Taijun smiled. I will. Day 7 arrived with rain. Jessica woke to thunder rumbling across Seoul. Rain drumming against her window. She dressed carefully, chose her best uniform, braided her hair with trembling fingers. This was it. The last day. After this, she'd have to make a choice. Let Taijun in or push him away. Risk everything or stay safe behind her walls. She arrived at the cafe early, helped Mr. Park with opening preparations. Her stomach churned with nerves. 7 a.m. came and went. No Taijun. 7:30. 8:30. Jessica told herself it didn't matter. That she'd expected this. That he'd finally come to his senses and realized she wasn't worth the trouble. But it did matter. It mattered so much she could barely breathe. By 9 a.m., she'd accepted the truth. He wasn't coming. The week was over. He'd proven nothing except that she'd been right to protect her heart. She was wiping down tables, eyes burning with tears she refused to shed. When the door chimed, Jessica looked up. Taijun stood in the doorway, soaking wet, his expensive suit plastered to his body. His hair was plastered to his forehead. He looked like he'd run through the rain. I'm sorry, he said immediately. There was an accident on the highway. A truck overturned. Traffic was completely stopped. I tried to call, but I don't have your number. And I couldn't. I couldn't let today end without seeing you. Jessica just stared at him. I know I'm late. I know I said I'd be here at 7 and it's past 9. But I'm here now. Day 7. I'm here. He took a step closer, dripping rainwater onto the floor. I'm here, Jessica. And I'm not going anywhere. Something inside Jessica shattered completely. She walked around the counter, crossed the cafe floor, stood in front of this man who'd driven through a storm, who'd shown up soaking wet and apologetic, who'd spent 7 days proving himself. You're going to ruin your suit, she said. I don't care about the suit. Mr. Park is going to make you clean up that water. I'll mop the whole cafe if he asks. You're late. I know. I'm sorry. Jessica reached up, slowly, giving herself time to change her mind. Her pale fingers touched Taijun's wet cheek. Ask me, she whispered. Taijun's eyes widened. Jessica, ask me. The thing you wanted to ask after day 7. Ask me now. Taijun took her hand, the one touching his face, and held it gently. Will you have dinner with me? Will you let me take you somewhere nice and spend the evening learning everything I don't know yet? Will you give us, a real chance? Jessica felt tears slip down her cheeks, mixing with the rain Taijun had brought in with him. Yes, she said. Yes to all of it. Taijun's smile was brilliant, transformative. Really, but I have conditions. Name them. We go slow, no rushing, no assumptions. We learn each other properly. Done. You don't try to fix me or change me. I'm not a project. You're perfect as you are. I'm not perfect. I'm damaged and difficult and mine, Taijun said softly. If you'll have me, damaged, difficult, and all. Jessica laughed, the sound watery but genuine. We're quite a pair. The best pair. Behind the counter, Mr. Park cleared his throat loudly. This is very touching, but you're both dripping on my floor. And Jessica, you're still on shift for another hour. Jessica pulled back, suddenly aware they had an audience. Not just Mr. Park, but several customers watching with varying expressions of surprise and delight. I should. She gestured vaguely at the cafe. I'll wait, Taijun said. I'm good at waiting now. You taught me. He sat at his usual spot, still dripping, and ordered his black coffee. Jessica served him with shaking hands and a smile she couldn't quite hide. The next hour passed in a blur. Jessica worked mechanically, hyper-aware of Taijun watching her with open affection now, no longer hiding his interest. When her shift finally ended, she changed out of her uniform with trembling fingers. This was happening. She was doing this. She was choosing to be brave. Taijun was waiting outside, the rain having slowed to a drizzle. He'd somehow acquired an umbrella. Where are we going? Jessica asked. There's a restaurant by the Han River. Quiet, private. They have the best bibimbap in Seoul. Sounds expensive. It is. I'm not dressed for expensive. Taijun looked at her, really looked, at her simple clothes, her braided white hair, her pale skin glowing in the gray light. You're dressed perfectly, he said. You could wear a paper bag and you'd still be the most beautiful woman in any room. Jessica ducked her head, hiding her smile. You're ridiculous. I'm honest. He offered his arm. Shall we? Jessica hesitated for just a moment. This was the point of no return. If she took his arm, if she let him lead her to dinner, she was admitting this was real, that she was allowing herself to hope, that she was choosing him. She took his arm. They walked to his car, a sleek black sedan that probably cost more than Jessica made in 5 years. Taijun opened her door, waited until she was settled, then rounded to the driver's side. As they pulled away from the cafe, Jessica watched Seoul blur past the windows. The rain had washed everything clean, made the city gleam. Nervous? Taijun asked. Terrified. Me too. Jessica glanced at him. Really? I've negotiated with criminals, handled territory disputes, stared down men twice my size. But this? You? Absolutely terrified. He reached over, laced his fingers through hers. Worth it, though? Jessica squeezed his hand, feeling the calluses there, the strength. What if I'm terrible at this? At dating, relationships, all of it? Then we'll be terrible together. Learn together. What if people say things? What if it affects your business? Then I'll handle it. Jessica, look at me. She did. There is nothing more important to me than making sure you feel safe, respected, cherished. Everything else is just noise. You can't promise that. Watch me. They arrived at the restaurant, an elegant place with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the river. The host took one look at Taijun and immediately ushered them to the best table, private and quiet. Jessica waited for the stares, the whispers. They came subtle but there. She saw the hosts double-take at her appearance. Saw other diners notice her pale skin, her unusual eyes. But Taijun was oblivious to all of it. He only had eyes for her. "Tell me something," he said once they'd ordered. "Something I don't know." "Like what?" "Anything. Your favorite memory. Your biggest dream. Whatever you want to share." Jessica thought for a moment. "When I was 7, my mother took me to Jeju Island. Just the two of us. We spent 3 days on the beach, and she told me that I was special. That my skin was like moonlight on water. That someday, someone would see how beautiful that was." She was right. I didn't believe her. Not for a long time. Jessica traced the rim of her water glass. "But lately I'm starting to." "What changed?" "You." Jessica met his eyes. "You look at me like I'm something rare and precious. Not despite how I look, but, including it, like you actually see me as beautiful. Because you are. See? You do it again." Jessica shook her head. "I don't know how to accept that yet, but I want to learn. I'll remind you every day until you believe it." Dinner passed in a blur of conversation. Jessica learned that Taijun hated seafood but loved spicy food. That he'd wanted to be an architect before his father died. That he read philosophy books and collected vinyl records and had a secret sweet tooth he'd never admit to his subordinates. Taijun learned that Jessica loved old movies and rainy days. That she'd wanted to be a teacher but couldn't handle the thought of students staring at her. That she sang when she thought no one was listening and had a weakness for chocolate. They talked until the restaurant staff started giving them pointed looks. "I should take you home," Taijun said reluctantly. "Probably." But neither of them moved. "Jessica," Taijun said finally, "I know we said we'd go slow, but may I kiss you? Just once." "Just to." "Yes." He blinked. "Yes. I've been waiting for you to ask for the last hour." Taijun's smile was slow and devastating. He stood, offered his hand, led her outside to where the rain had completely stopped. The city sparkled around them, washed clean and new. He cupped her face gently, giving her every opportunity to pull away. Jessica didn't pull away. When his lips met hers, it was soft, careful, reverent, like she was something infinitely precious. Jessica felt herself melt into it, into him, felt years of loneliness and pain start to dissolve. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Taijun rested his forehead against hers. "Worth waiting 7 days for," he murmured. Jessica laughed. "Just 7 days? I'd have waited 7 years. 7 lifetimes. Now you're just showing off. Can you blame me? I'm kissing the moon." Jessica pulled back to look at him. This dangerous, powerful man who'd rearranged his life for her. Who'd seen past her differences to the person underneath. "Take me home," she said softly. Taijun did, driving through the quiet Seoul streets with her hand in his. When they reached her small apartment building, he walked her to her door. "When can I see you again?" he asked. "I work tomorrow at 7. Then I'll be there at 7. "You don't have to." "I want to. Besides, I've gotten used to starting my days with you. Can't break the habit now." Jessica unlocked her door, then turned back. "Taijun." "Yes. Thank you. For not giving up. For showing up every day. For seeing me. Thank you for letting me. For being brave enough to say yes." He kissed her once more, soft and quick, then left before she could lose her nerve and ask him to stay. Inside her apartment, Jessica leaned against the door and touched her lips, still feeling the ghost of his kiss. Her phone, which she'd silenced during dinner, showed a message from Mr. Park. "About time. You both deserve happiness." Jessica smiled, typed back, "I think I'm starting to believe that." She got ready for bed, braided her hair, looked at herself in the mirror. Same pale skin, same unusual eyes, same features that had caused her so much pain. But tonight, for the first time, she saw what Taijun saw. Someone beautiful, someone rare, someone worthy of love. "The moon," she whispered to her reflection. "I'm the moon." And tomorrow she'd rise again. But this time she wouldn't rise alone. This time, she'd have someone who'd proven, day after day, that he'd be there to meet her light with his own steady darkness. Together they'd make something new. Something neither of them had expected but both of them needed. Not perfect, not easy, but real. And that, Jessica thought as she fell asleep smiling, was worth every risk. 6 months later, the cafe had changed. Or rather, Jessica's experience of it had changed. She still worked the morning shift, still dealt with difficult customers and occasional stares. But now, when things got hard, she had Taijun's number in her phone, had his jacket hanging in her apartment, had the memory of 100 mornings where he'd shown up, kissed her hello, and made her believe in good things. They'd gone slow, just as she'd insisted, learned each other carefully. Taijun met her defensive moments with patience. Jessica met his dark moods with understanding. They fought occasionally, both too stubborn to back down easily, but they always came back to each other. Because that was the promise they'd made. To show up, to be present, to choose each other day after day. "You're smiling at nothing again," Mr. Park observed. "He's coming today?" "He comes every day." "True. But today's special, isn't it?" It was 6 months since that rainy day 7. 6 months since Jessica had said yes to hope. Taijun had planned something, though he'd refused to tell her what. Just said to finish her shift and be ready for a surprise. At 7 a.m., the door chimed. Taijun walked in, impossibly handsome in his suit, carrying a single white rose. "For the moon," he said, handing it to her. "From the man who loves her." Jessica's heart still stuttered when he said things like that. "You're early. Couldn't wait." He leaned across the counter, kissed her softly. 6 months. 6 months, Jessica agreed. Best 6 months of my life. Even with all the complications, the stares, the gossip, especially with those, they proved you were worth fighting for. Taijun smiled. "Ready for your surprise? Should I be nervous?" "Probably." After her shift, Taijun drove her to a building she didn't recognize. Modern, elegant, in one of Seoul's nicer neighborhoods. "Where are we?" Jessica asked. "Come see." He led her inside, up an elevator, to a door marked 4B. Unlocked it and stepped aside. Jessica walked into an apartment, spacious, bright, with huge windows overlooking the city. It was furnished simply but beautifully, and in the bedroom, she saw boxes marked with her name. Taijun. Her voice came out small. "I know we said slow, and we have been. But Jessica." He came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist. "I want to wake up next to you. I want to make you breakfast and hear about your dreams. I want this to be our space. If you want it." Jessica turned in his arms. "You got us an apartment? I got us an option. If it's too fast, we'll wait. If you need your own space, I'll understand. But I'm asking you to move forward with me, to build something together." Jessica looked around the apartment, their apartment. Imagine mornings here with Taijun, evenings cooking together, nights falling asleep in his arms. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes. Yes, I want this. I want us. I want everything." Taijun's smile could have lit the entire city. He picked her up, spun her around, kissed her until they were both breathless. "I love you," he said against her lips. "My moon, my light, my everything." "I love you too," Jessica said, and meant it with everything she was. They stood in their new apartment, two people who'd found each other against all odds. The Mafia executive and the Albino Waitress. The shadow and the light. Together, they were something neither had been alone. Complete. And every morning after, when Taijun showed up at the cafe at 7 a.m., it wasn't to prove anything anymore. It was just to be near the woman he loved. The woman who'd taught him that beauty came in unexpected forms. The woman who'd learned that she deserved to be cherished. The moon who'd found her home in the darkness. And the darkness that had learned to love the light.
So besties, in this story we learned that you deserve love not despite your difference but including them. True love sees your uniqueness as something precious, not something to tolerate. And when you are brave enough to let the right person in, you discover that you are never broken, you are always whole, just waiting for someone who could see it. Thank you so much for watching. Kindly like, subscribe and share.